Hi,
How are you?
I'm good.
Nice to meet you, first of all.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So glad you could be on the show. Welcome to Make Your Own Fun.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So for everybody watching, I'm here with Lindsay Shutt. She is a graphic artist and designer and out of Portland, right?
Well, it's funny, I grew up in Ohio. I thought that was how you found it. Okay. Yeah. But I'm in Portland. I've been here for 11 years.
That's so
Yeah.
funny. And you went to Kent State, right?
Yeah.
Me too. So crazy.
Yeah. I saw that. I was like, okay, maybe that's how you
I'm
found
like,
me.
no, that can't be a coincidence. That's crazy.
It's so wild. What did you study there?
Geez. I guess at the time it was creative writing and performance art, I guess.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I kind of just dovetailed that into a comedy group that I was there with at the time, and
Oh,
then like right after that it was like Second City Cleveland, and it's so funny because it doesn't exist anymore. There's
oh
no
my
Second City in
God.
Cleveland anymore.
I didn't know there was one. I
As
never
your
knew
cat, I
that.
just saw like the cat like a shark,
Yeah, my
just go
cat,
like
they
this.
just,
So like a
they
tail
sit.
like a shark. That was
Yeah,
great.
I
I was
know.
like, da-da.
I have two of them, and one's a mom. They're a mom and a baby. I don't know how you say that. But they sit like right up on the desk when I work, which is awesome. But it's like, and then their hair gets in my eyes. Like there's currently
Oh,
cat
I
hair in my
love
eye right now.
cats, but like the dander or like oh my God, I've had, ex-girlfriends and stuff that have had cats, and it'd just be one of those things where I'm like, well, it'll be cool. I'll get some work done or some writing done or something and have like a notepad or like a laptop. And then like I'm sitting there like looking out the
Yeah,
window and all of a sudden this tail would just be like,
yeah.
and I'm like, I'm just gonna go.
I know.
I'm
They
just
do
gonna
make it
go.
difficult. They walk
Because
on
the
my
cat,
keyboard.
the cat is like, dude, this is my spot.
Yeah,
Fuck
wherever you
off.
are, that's their spot.
Fuck
It's
off.
pretty cool though. I can make it work. Like they keep me in really good company. They make me happy. So we're working together.
You're making it
We're
happen.
meeting halfway. Yeah.
The cat's like, all right, we get the couch like these hours on these days.
Yeah. Oh my God. And then like 3:30 in the morning is their time to party. And they're literally just jumping off walls. It's crazy.
I,
I'm so tired right now. But
oh my God, like, when I messaged you earlier, I just had one of those like restless nights and I got up like super early and was like, I'm just gonna get stuff done. And
yeah.
then when you were like, no, I got, whatever, and I'm only available, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I looked around and I'm like, oh, well, shit, I got my stuff done. I guess I'll just, and it's the worst thing you can
I
do.
fall asleep.
I'm like, I'll just go back to bed. I'll have,
Oh
and I had like
man.
the fan on and it was like a lullaby. I was just like,
That's yeah. If I know I'm heading to nap zone, I immediately put on like guided meditation on YouTube and it just like boom. I'm like a
but the
senior
problem is
citizen.
like I had like coffee because I was already like up. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the store, I'm gonna do this and this.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
Intentions.
well, I'm up, so maybe she's up too. And you were like,
Well,
no.
I was up, but I'm like, oh my God, I got to shower and
Throw the cat away around the
yeah.
room.
Oopsie. Yeah, I stayed up super. I've been on this like creative streak, thank God, because I didn't know if it would ever come back. I was like, shit, this is me
Oh
now.
no, did you have like a fallow period or something? Or
Yeah, I was just like really like streamlined, which isn't normally my demeanor.
okay.
I can be pretty intense. I mean, I don't know. When I'm into something, I'll just like, kind of get obsessed with it.
Are you one of
And
those people that like when you're working on a project or you like have so many things lined up that people call and you're just like you have your phone and you're just like
yeah, yeah, I can't because I'm like
that's
so
me typing, that's not you typing.
right. Arr, that's how my dad types.
I know, but it's
It's
like
on
you
the,
try to show people what you're typing, you would never see your hands. So people are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, you know." And they're like,
oh,
"We don't want to know what you're doing if we can't see your hands." It's like, "No, this is me typing," and they're like,
oh,
"Oh,
I'm also in Transylvania and I'm driving.
right."
I don't know.
Catching the spell.
Yeah, I forget what I was like saying. Oh yeah, so like the past like week or so, I've just been on this like something came over me and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I used to, like so I've been riding with that and like staying up till like 4 a.m. working. But I can't sleep in because my circadian rhythm is just like I can't sleep in
Well,
anymore.
like, does the sun come in like the window, like in
Well,
the
yeah, I've
room?
never closed my blinds either. Like I just leave it open.
You just
Well,
roll over and you're like, "Ah."
yeah, I mean, I'm in Portland, so it doesn't really matter. Like we haven't seen the sun, we get little peaks of it. I know, I'm trying my best. Each year it gets a little easier, but
We
anyway,
have the opposite problem here. Like we had rain for like 4 or 5 days in a row over like the holidays. And I don't know if you've been to LA or Southern California,
yeah,
but people freak the fuck out. Like they're like,
yeah,
what is this water coming from the sky?
right,
And what do I do?
right. And like there was a cold snap there. And a lot of people I was seeing on Instagram, like friends of mine or whoever, just their apartment doesn't have heat
Oh,
because it's just not necessary there or something like that. Like one of my friends is in an older building, so she was
they're just
freezing.
wrapping in saran wrap. We don't have winter clothes.
Yeah. It's just so out of the ordinary. Like when it snows in Portland, like the whole city shuts down. We don't know what to do.
Yeah, but I mean, you're like at least far enough north that it rains enough that you have like raincoats
Yeah. Oh,
and
totally.
like, yeah.
I finally broke down and bought a winter coat. It's been like 11 years.
I need to get another one. Like I've just been holding on. Like I had a one from Ohio.
Oh,
Like I went back like years ago and got like a really nice one, and then like I wore it like 4 times in like
yeah.
10 years, and I was like meh. And then I had like
Yeah.
this really nice like wool one, and then it's like I wear it, and then I'm like I go in. And like you put it on it, but you go in somewhere, and then like
Yeah.
2 months later you regret it because you're like,
Oh,
and then I'm like
constantly.
wearing it and I'm sweating.
Yeah.
People are you okay? And you're like, I'm fine.
I know. And then I'm all like agitated and cranky. Yeah.
Um, but so tell me like the what got you into now, is this what you studied at college? Like what got
Yeah.
you into that from when you were younger, where they're like, I don't know, there's different things that people get into that for different reasons. Was it like um just forced perspective like drawings that you saw in museums, or websites or album covers, or like a
Yeah.
combination of everything?
Yeah, it was my mom is an artist and
Oh, cool.
so she's just like always been creative. So I've been lucky enough to be around, that kind of energy and environment. So I just started drawing really young and I was just like obsessed with it, probably because I don't really know why. I got a lot of praise for it. So I was probably like, "Ooh, I'm gonna keep doing this." Who knows? But yeah, I've been drawing my whole life. And then once it came time, like once it came time to go to college, like I always knew I was like, I just want to make album covers and I just want to work in that world. Little did I know that's not really, you can't really make money doing that. I mean, some people do, but
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure. Like, I know a few people who have done it, but it's the same thing for designing like book covers and things. It's like you just get commission for the
yeah,
piece, right?
right. It's like feast
And
or
do you
famine.
sign a contract that you get like a royalty, or how does that work?
I've never had that type of situation. I've never worked with anything like, no, I don't think you get a royalty, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I've just done like a flat rate for album art and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do. And I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to move to California and like move in with like this band. I was just like, yeah, can't wait to get out of Cleveland.
Away
And
from the rain and the snow. Oh, wait.
I know, and here I am. But I had a pit stop in Memphis before I came here though. But and so my grandfather, bless his heart, amazing person, rest in peace. He really wanted me to go to college, and he had been like putting away money for me since I was a little kid. So, I was like, okay, I'll go to college, which is like really like privileged of me to like have that option, you know. So I decided to go, and graphic design seemed like the best option for me. I had no idea how difficult the program was. I just figured I'd be on easy street, you know. It was really challenging. But I'm really glad I did it. It was like boot camp. It was like the hardest thing I had done yet in my
That's
life,
what
you
people
know.
say, that I know that have been through similar stuff, where it's like you're kind of into, you know, whatever it is,
Right.
and like the drawing or the designing, and then you get to a school level, and there's like these people that have been, I don't know, like shepherded into it from when they were like 12, and you get there and
Right.
they're like 18 and they have a portfolio, and you're like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
going
there's all
on?
kinds of situations. Yeah. And like I just remember my favorite teacher ever, Lee Goski. She's such a badass, but she was like, okay, you come in here, you think, oh, I can doodle, I like to draw. No, that's not going to get you through this, you know. And it was like brutal.
Meanwhile, you're in the corner like,
That was me. She's like, yeah. I was like, she's speaking to me.
you're like,
Yeah, totally. I mean, that was me, and I just figured it would be super easy. And I was like, I got this, you know, because school was always easy for me. I never had an issue with school, and I never even like paid attention to it. I wasn't interested. But then I got to college, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm like freaking out right now.
but you like latch on to like similar like-minded people, right?
Yeah, I found my group of friends, and a lot of them were in the same program, and it was just an awesome experience. Like Kent was just like this idyllic, like beautiful little innocent town, and it was just so sweet, you know, like
And when were you there? Like 15 years ago, 10 years ago?
oh my God, I don't even
And
remember.
I'm from like even farther
It
back.
was like
So
at least 15, 17 years ago or something. I don't
okay,
know.
because
I
like
need to like sit
I
down and count.
haven't been back since, oh my God, well, it will be 10 years like this fall,
Oh,
2024.
easily, yeah.
So when I went back, like I'm sure you talk to people and you've seen pictures and stuff, but I was just like, because
Yeah,
it's
that's what I
so
heard.
different. It's not the little town anymore.
That's so sad. And the locals, you know, it's like they've got to be so bummed out. I mean,
No, because it's like they got like this shot, and I mean the people that I talk to, especially
yeah,
artists, people that do anything like with arts, like especially bands, because there's more places to play.
yeah, that's
There's
true.
more places to show, like they have a gallery now, there's more places to show artwork,
Right.
there's more cafes and places that can do open mics, and like,
Yeah.
so I
Oh my
haven't went
God, you're
back, but
just
I was
flooding.
like, I was there, I was like, where's the fucking library? Oh, they moved the library. I'm like, whoa, 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 they moved the public
I'm
library?
like, where was the library?
There's yeah, and then you know what, they moved
I
the
remember where all the
bridge.
punk clubs were, but like,
They moved the bridge. They put in a 5-story parking garage downtown. They
crazy.
created this Harry Potter like Acorn Alley thing with all these stores.
Acorn Alley. Was that like one of our themes? Was like acorns or something? Yeah, like I remember the weird, yeah, like all the weirdo stuff, you know?
Black
And there was a lot of
Squirrel.
like hippie culture and just kind of weird, like indie, like there was a lot of good bands in Kent, like Party of Helicopters, like Black Keys kind of started around like Kent, Akron,
I
around
went to
that.
school with the Party of Helicopters guys.
Oh, yeah, so you know Jamie and like
I mean, I haven't talked to them in a while, but yeah, I mean, I went to high school with those guys.
Jamie, I guess I don't know him super well, but he went on to do Earthquake
Oh, he's like a
remixes,
big like
killing
music
it.
magnet, creating like what, pedals?
Yeah, pedals. It's like super successful. It's awesome.
I mean, he was
Um,
always a crazy talented musician.
yeah.
I mean, I didn't know him like that well, but yeah, I mean, just certain people just,
Yeah, there was just a lot of cool people in Kent. I really like cherish those times. And
and I
then
really like that, like, you didn't have to be exactly like-minded to like hang out with, like one night you could go out and go to like a movie at the Kent stage, and then like another night there could be a band playing out somewhere that you want to see, and like another night somebody's like one of your friends is having like showing at a gallery of like photography or painting,
Yeah.
or there could be like a freaking sculpting class, or there could be like creative writing stuff, or
Yeah, it was very
um,
eclectic. They
yeah,
really
there's so much stuff.
celebrated
And then
the
it's like I came to LA and it's like there's that stuff. They're like, but in LA, it was just like that'll be $2,000.
Yeah, totally. Culture shock, or if you want to call
Now
it.
what was the impetus to move to Portland?
I okay, so actually it's funny because when I lived in Kent, like there was like this kind of we always joked about it like the portal from Kent to Portland. And like all the like the elders in the, you know, the scene, the musicians and artists, weirdos that I like really not looked up to, but like I just liked what they did and we got along and you know I was like they're my people, you know. They all went to Portland for the most part. And then I graduated. I went on like a road trip around the US and like Canada for like a few months and just like lived in a tent for a while and saw the country. Really cool that I got to do that. It was not like someone invited me. I got invited with some people and they drove and like planned it all out. So I was like, all right, I got a tent from Target and I just went. And then after that, I came back to Cleveland and I worked in a design studio called New Bomb for a while. And then I moved to Memphis, Tennessee, and I lived there for like 3 years.
How was that? I mean,
It
I've
was
heard really
wild.
cool things about that place.
It's an interesting place, you know, because it's the South. So that was like something I'd never really experienced before, like that kind of culture. Um, which was like way different, obviously, than Kent and Cleveland. Um, and I moved there to be with a musician, and like I moved into this house called well, like with a bunch of musicians, and it was called the Pop Dungeon. It was like this huge like stone house. It was gigantic, and it was just like music all the time, like bands practicing in the basement. Any bands that came through, they stayed with us. So it was like, and there's all these little clubs. So like it was just constantly like music and meeting people from all over the world. It was a tiny little scene in a way, but the people who came through, it was like I never met so many amazing people because there wasn't a lot to do in Memphis. So like you're like, okay, you're staying with us, like you're hanging out with us. There's like 15 of us in town, you know. So it was rad. It's pretty dangerous there, which I got over that pretty quick because I was just like, man, I didn't feel like I had a lot of freedoms. You couldn't really walk around alone and things like that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but it was
Just like bad like areas or
oh, just so
gangs
much
or
crime,
whatever.
so much crime.
Wow.
Yeah, gangs and it was like Memphis and Detroit were always like neck and neck when I was living there. I don't know about now, but like my friends in Detroit and I would always joke and be like, "Oh, you got number one most violent city this year," you know, like I mean, so it was pretty gnarly. And anyways, then after I lived there for a few years, I couldn't wait to get out of there and I kept visiting Portland and I'd always like wanted to be there in the back of my mind. It was either like Portland or LA, but Portland was so much more my speed and like all the kids there and like the music there and it was just like easy to get around and affordable, you know. It was like, oh, it felt like Chicago of the West Coast or something. Just like not too big, but like big enough for me and like enough culture and stuff. And then like the mountains and like the ocean and everything. It was just like, are you kidding me? And so I just like quit my job and I sold like all my stuff and I just moved
Wow.
out here like boom. And because a room opened up and I was like, dude, just do it, you know, like take it. And yeah, so then I've been here like 11 years.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I lived in the South for a while too. I lived in Georgia for a year and
Oh, cool.
it was okay, but it was so not my speed. It was like when I would meet people or like start a new job or something, people were like, "Why do you talk so fast?" I'm like, "I'm not
Oh,
talking fast." Like,
yeah.
what? I'm not from like New York or something. They're just
Right.
like, they're like, take it down a notch. I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh.
if I
Yeah.
take it down another notch, I'm gonna be like asleep, man.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
what?
Yeah. They all called me like a vegan too because I didn't eat like
like
barbecue.
a live cow
I'm
in
not
front
a
of
vegan.
them. They're like,
Yeah, I'm not a
aren't
vegan.
you
I
eating
just
that cow on a bun?
yeah. It's a big meat culture down there. At least in
Yeah, and
Memphis.
a lot of like church. It's like
Yeah,
football, like Sundays there were like football and church, like church and football. And I'm like, well, I'm not really religious and I
yeah.
don't really give a shit about football or sports in general. So, and then it's like I would go to like a nearby town like Athens, which is like a really good
Yeah,
hub for
I
cultural
heard,
stuff.
isn't REM from Athens?
But shit was just closed on Sundays, and I was like,
Yeah.
right. Now I see
That's
like,
like,
oh, Chick-fil-A comes from here. Now it
oh
makes a lot
yeah,
more sense.
totally. And I mean, I can't believe it got turned into a blue state. And I hope that Stacey Abrams, like, isn't she's running for governor next? So
I
we'll
think so,
see
yeah.
her.
But oh yeah, so I I had well, not the job itself wasn't crazy, but I had the craziest time at this job, and I went through Portland years
Oh
ago,
wow.
and I had a great time, and I went to like the aquarium there, and I
It's
went
hard not
to,
to have a good time here. It's like the
yeah, I had like
time
voodoo
city.
donuts.
Yeah, you have to wait in that line though.
With the job, you're gonna like go like, what? I was a stage manager for a touring deaf children's theater show.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Kind of. Like
I
I just had
cool to be
like
around kids.
the people just didn't get along, and it was like
Uh,
crazy. We literally, it was
bummer.
like every time we went to, there was like shenanigans, and like the people would fight.
It didn't
But
run
one day
smooth.
I'm gonna write a book about it. But it's just like
Yeah, that's how I look at those kind of experiences, right? It's like
I barely knew
material.
sign language, and so they totally took advantage of me all the time because there were like some like
Uh,
hearing actors, and then they would like gang up together, and then like the deaf actors would gang up together, and then like sometimes they would just pretend that they didn't understand what you were saying, so they could just fuck off and go do whatever. And I'm
yeah.
like, come back, and then they're like,
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I had to remember a good time in Portland, but I mean, I didn't really get to go out and like explore like the nightlife there. I didn't really have like a guide, so I kind of felt bad. I'm like, I didn't know
Yeah.
like the people are always talking about like the restaurants and
Yeah.
like the hiking trails. I'm always seeing people hiking, and
I'm
I'm
like
like, when I
strip
was in
clubs,
Portland, I
like
was like, I just saw buildings. I didn't see like places to go hike.
yeah, there's like hiking within the city, which is cool. We have like a huge park. It's like I think it might be one of the biggest parks within a city, something like that. Forest Park, and it's gigantic. There's it's weird. Portland's really hurting right now, but
Well, after last or 2020, I keep saying last year, but
I
happy
don't
New
even know.
Year.
I'm like, whatever year it is, it doesn't even it doesn't matter to me anymore.
Oh, so I got to ask you. So hop in your Wayback Machine of choice
Yeah.
and tell me, like, when you were a kid, like what you saw, or like what, like specifically, like an artist or like a band
Mm,
or something that kind of was like, I want to do that, or
yeah.
like, or at least got you on the road to like being interested.
I don't know. God, that's a really good question. Hmm. I'm trying to think of like album art that stood out to me, but I was just obsessed with music since
It
I've been
can't
a
all be
kid.
Pink Floyd album covers, okay?
Right? I mean, I remember my dad had a bunch of records down in the basement, and I would just like look at all of them. And I remember one time I just took scissors and I cut them up, and I
Oh
wanted to use it as a
no.
I know. And my dad was like, what did you do? But I loved them. I was like, you're not
Oh, but
using
he
these.
didn't have any of like the ones that were like super rare or hard to find,
I don't
right?
know. He may have, because
He
it was
was
his
like,
collection from the
Lindsay.
70s. Yeah, I mean, he was on his own trip, but yeah, I bummed him out with that one. And yeah, I'm trying to think of a specific thing. Like I always loved like MTV and Nickelodeon and those. Like I feel really lucky I got to grow up around that aesthetic, that pop, like really vibrant, bright, like it was just so awesome, and everything seemed so creative, like Pee-wee's Playhouse and all that. Like I still love that stuff. It's totally like where I get my style from.
You have to think that not maybe Paul Rubens himself, but like whoever else like worked on that show, there had to be like so many drugs where it was
Oh
just like
yeah.
the chair is talking, and like there's
Yeah.
a genie that's just like a head in a box. I'm like, does he
Right.
have to just be a head in a
For
box?
sure. That's what I think about when I look back at like cartoons in like the 50s and the 40s and everything. It's like, oh, you know, those were like probably the most like trippy out there weirdos of their time.
They were
They
like
had,
watching Reefer Madness and all that.
yeah, totally. I've still
Um,
never seen that.
so what is like the first like kind of project that you got to work on like after college? Was it there in Ohio or was it in Portland?
Like my first actual like taste of like a real freelance gig, it was in Memphis, and like I owe a lot of my career to my boyfriend Jay. I think my first album gig was actually for Matador Records,
Oh
which is,
wow.
yeah. I want to say that was my very first album cover I got to do. Um, I need to double check that though, but it was the first one that stood out to me at least. Yeah, so he was just like, here's this job. It was for him, you know, and we got to do like a silk screen on the vinyl, and it was just so exciting. And after I did that, I was like, oh my God, I can do this, you know? And he really pushed me to see my potential and not be afraid. That was the main thing, is that I lacked the courage, you know, because I looked at that stuff as like something that maybe down the road I could do, you know, like I didn't realize I could just go out and grab it, you know?
Well,
And then it
somebody
helped.
has to like not only open like the door for you to like squeak your foot in, but also they have to show you the ropes because
Yeah.
you could literally like any job or any like artistic art opportunity. I feel like people can give you a chance, but it's like 90% of the time we don't know what to do with that chance, or like
Mm,
because
totally.
you're
Yeah.
so paranoid of like, oh my god, I don't want to fuck this up. I don't want to like lose this chance. But
Right.
so many times like you get into a place or something, and then people are just like, good luck, buddy.
Yeah, totally. That's funny. You just made me think of like the I look at my career, and I think a lot of people in this field, like we are given a lot of rare opportunities, not a lot. We're given a rare opportunity, and sometimes something like that will just change our path forever, you know? And that's what I think. Like I heard luck is a combination of preparedness and opportunity when they meet, you know? And I felt like maybe I was like prepared enough to do that. And from then on I just kept getting cool little jobs, and then I bought like an iMac desktop, and I remember that was like a huge deal, you know.
Wow.
And so that was just like, then it became like real. And then I was just like doing my day job, and then I would come home and do my side hustle, you know, not a side hustle, it was like what I was passionate about, you know. Didn't really make much money, you know, wasn't
So
like
was it mainly album art, or did you do other kind of stuff?
posters. So like venues in town started hiring me.
Oh, to do like advertisements and posters and things?
Yeah, I would
Oh,
be like,
cool.
I remember this place called the High Tone. I don't think it's even around anymore, but it was like a rad venue in Memphis. And they just like hired me on to be their like go-to poster person. So that was like a steady gig, and like they had awesome bands come through. So I got to do that, and that sort of just like kicked me off, you know. I was like, whoa. And I had this job that I hated. And there was a scanner. I had this little tiny office in the back of the building, and the work was so easy. I would just get it done in the morning, and then I would have all this time, and like nobody was around, you know. So I would just like experiment, and like there was all this like materials back there, like so I'd like print out typography on like transparent paper and cut it out and like assemble it, because I always wanted everything to look like cut and paste. Like punk aesthetic is like kind of I just always enjoyed that. And I don't really like the look of anything being made on a computer. I mean, other people, they pull it off,
But
but
you can
like
do
for me,
cut and paste things on a computer now, so
yeah, but I wanted there to be like fingerprints on things and like crinkles, and you can see like a little bit of tape or things like that. So I would just hand make things
you
and
want
scan
something
it
that's
in.
got like a layered, almost like a 3D visceral kind of.
Yeah, like it's handmade. Like one of my
Right.
favorite one of like kind of an I'm trying to think. One of my favorite albums or artists is this guy named Tim Vulgar in Detroit, and his band, The Clone Defects, and then Him and I. Like he made all of his album art, and he would just like put like it was all collage, and then he would draw over it and paint over it, and then so you get the record, and it's literally just like he didn't use computer at all. He would just like give somebody like here's the 12 by 12 artwork, and they'd scan it in and put it together for him. Even the type was like stencil with spray paint, like it was just so cool. And that was like, I'm like, damn, that's what I want to do. So I would always aim for like his aesthetic, and I would try to like, put little spray paint splotches and like do like handwritten anything I could incorporate that wasn't like, here's a font on a computer. And if I did use a font, I would print it on something and cut out the pieces. So yeah, luckily I had that lame job where I could just kind of like
I mean,
go,
that's the best though, where you can
yeah,
learn on the job and then like advance yourself because it's like
totally. I mean, I had the
you're
time and I had
learning.
nothing else to do.
Right. And one of the things I tell people is like to learn not from failure, but it's just like you keep trying until you find something that works. And one of the things I was going
Yeah.
to ask you is there anything that you feel like now over the years where you're like, okay, I've been doing this a while and like this is my style, this is my jam, like this is my own little niche. Like, is there anything that you like personally incorporate into stuff now where it's like people
Yeah.
say like we want the Lindsay touch, and you're like, oh, okay, you don't want to look like
Right.
Banksy or something.
Right. Yeah, that's like I do. Luckily, I get people that come to me and they're like, oh, like this, I thought of you right away. And I guess like it's just always been bright colors, like really like pop art influenced. And I always
More like
try,
a Andy Warhol or what?
yeah, I mean, he
Okay.
was one of my first influences. I have a like Andy Warhol little
Oh
pill.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Velvet
I mean, I love
Underground.
the Velvet Underground. I love that whole world. Bright colors, like high contrast, punk aesthetic. So it's not, I don't, well, there's a hummingbird. That's a good sign. I love when that hummingbird, I always think it's the same one.
Oh
That
my
hummingbird
God, you're
doesn't,
reminding me of what's that movie with the animated movie? Was it Up that has the dog and it's like
uh,
squirrel?
squirrel. Yeah, that's, I am that. But yeah, so I guess I kind of always try to do, I guess my aesthetic would be like really like pop art and high contrast, bright colors, lots of layers. I try to incorporate handwritten as much as I can, or some sort of illustrative element to everything if I can. But it's like it's hard, like the balance. I gotta find. I always am like, okay, is that too much stuff happening? Because it's like
Yeah. You got somebody like in the background like this, and they have like
I
a bowl
know.
of something
I
like a
go
sweet, and they're just
crazy.
like, what is that?
Yeah. Like I'll like start and it's like there's like a million things going on and then I eliminate, as it goes along. And
Oh
then
yeah, yeah. Just throw everything and then just simplify.
yeah. And then I'm like, okay, that works, that doesn't. And then I'll save like 7 different versions or whatever. I'm acting like that's a big deal. I'm sure everybody does that kind of stuff when they're creating. But yeah, and then by the time I'm done, it's a lot more simplified.
Well, here's the question, because you're talking about experimenting, and I think everybody goes through this no matter what kind of art it is. Have you ever worked on either something for yourself or like a project for someone else that it like did not like pan out at all, and it was a total utter disaster to the point where either you lost the project or you had to abandon it, and then you're like, okay, but from what this crash and burn was,
Yeah,
I'm able to take stuff from that and
right.
apply it to something down the line that where it's like, well, it didn't work for this, but holy shit, it totally worked for this other thing.
That's a good question. I I know, I'm sure I've had an experience like that. Something that comes to mind is like just recently I did some packaging for like a indoor grow company, like a weed company, and um it was just kind of a bummer project, you know? And I think what I realized when I saw, like, they just posted a photo of like the products with my packaging on them, and I was like, damn, I just don't even like the way that looks. And it was because anytime I try like, it's like when I have a client, I definitely I try to design for them and their target market, you know. I'm not trying to be like, oh, this is like what Lindsay's world, like what Lindsay would want.
Well,
But
right, and they're gonna give you like stipulations too of like,
well, that's the
this is
thing, is
what
that
we're
he really
going
didn't.
for, this is the time frame, this is like the
Right.
season we're trying to like frame it for.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when we initially speak, I get all that information. But yeah, it was like I just kind of went with the logo that they gave me, and they didn't have any branding. So the logo was really basic, and so then I went with that, and then my design was basic, you know. And it's like I'm learning, like, you know, even though I'm not going to make it like what I would necessarily be like, ooh, that's so rad, but I need to definitely incorporate like my style into everything I do in a sense, you know. Like, I mean, it didn't look bad, but it just like I feel like I could have made it pop more. And
Well, I also feel like if it's like not a project for me, if it's something for somebody else, I always feel like no matter what it is, if they just say like, do your thing, and I'm like, no, 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 no.
but
Like
he didn't
me
even
doing
know
my
what my
thing
thing
is
was.
well, right, like me doing my thing is gonna make me happy and it's gonna be cool, but it's not gonna be
It's not
something
going
they
to
can
sell your
market
product.
for
Maybe
their
it was.
whatever it is. I'm gonna give it back to them like, what the fuck is this? Like, I did my thing, and like, well, it's not what we wanted. Like, well, you gave me like no details.
Right. And I mean, now I wish this is, I mean, I don't even think this guy really seen my work. It was just a referral, word of mouth. That's how I've gotten like all my projects, especially this past year. Just like I haven't even promoted myself other than Instagram, which is awesome. So I don't even know if you'd like seen my work, but somebody
But I
was
mean,
like,
you
yeah,
have like a website, you have a presence online.
I didn't even have a website at that point.
Oh, okay, okay.
Well, because it's been down, because it looks horrible. And I'm like, I don't want people looking at this. That's another thing about me that I'm working on, is like imposter syndrome, I guess is what it's called, where you're just like, it like stops you from doing things because you want it to be so perfect that like in a sense it's
It's a
crippling to
classic,
you.
what I call you need to get you out of your own way.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm working on that in every aspect of my life, actually.
You're like, who's this
Sorry.
person in the mirror? Get out of here.
Yeah, it's like my own head, you know. I need to stop. Like sometimes my own head is not the best place to be. But wait, I went on a tangent and I went off
But
course.
also, like, the joy is like so important because
Yeah.
you can't just only do things for work or for pay because I mean, I'm gonna be dramatic here, but it kind of makes you like a drone of like a
Oh
drop
yeah.
husk or whatever.
Oh,
I mean,
totally.
that's overly dramatic, but I
No,
mean,
it does. It's soul sucking. I just spent the past few years working in corporations, and even though like I got to work at the Portland Art Museum, and it was like such an honor when I got that. Like it was just a contract gig, but it was like I was in tears. I was so grateful and excited. But even that, you know, here's your fonts, here's your colors,
right, right,
everything
right.
looks the same.
It's pain in the lines. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So there
But
was
I mean, like the other thing is though, you work for a place like that for 6 months or a year, you put that on a resume and you could pretty
yeah,
much go anywhere,
totally.
right?
Oh my God. It really, yeah, it was a big deal. I'll never forget that. But yeah, that's the thing about that project. Back to that project, was my joy wasn't in it. And that's funny you say that, because like that's really important to me now, is like basically with everything. It's like if I have a day with my joy levels are like low, I'm like, shit, something's not right. You know, like I'm not in alignment. I'm not doing something I'm supposed to be doing. And same with my work, you know, like that project was just like I just wanted to get it over with by the end. And that's just not like how I like to work. Um, so I know I take it, it's pretty important to me that I enjoy the process. So that was one that stood out. And I'm just kind of like, dang, I wish I would have done it differently.
But like I said though, it's like you can only work with what they give you. If it's not for you, it's for them, then they're gonna get what they get because
And
they
he
didn't
liked
give you.
it. So it's like, well, can't win them all. I
No,
just want everything to be like top notch, because if I do any project, usually I take it, I'll take it on because I'm like, oh, this will be in my portfolio and like it's going to represent me. So
I
everything
got
that
you.
I put out,
Um,
I have to really like
so we'll
it.
hop back in the Wayback Machine again, and we'll set the controls back to more than a year and a half from. So when the lockdown started, like, how did you stay sane with? I mean, were you working strictly from home and then like also trying to do creative stuff as well?
Oh boy. I was doing really good before the lockdown. I was like in my creative zone. I was like super healthy. I stopped drinking. I was like, whoa, I'm like doing yoga. And then lockdown happened. I had all these little side gigs. I worked at this cool little vintage shop in town. And like while I was at, it's like, here's how I look at little jobs like that. Like I love things like that because it's like me sitting there at the shop. I was like, they had a record player. I just play rad records and draw like the whole time. Customers would come through, we'd chat, and I'd be like doodling and making art the whole time. And that's like jobs that I love, if they're not graphic design, I'm like, oh, well, as long as I can like draw. Um, so I had some cool little gigs going and I lost all those at once. And then my unemployment didn't kick in for 5.5 months. It was
Holy
terrifying.
shit.
It was being agitated or something because there was some little
Oh, you know what though? I have a friend who also lives in Oregon, and he was telling me
it
like,
was a nightmare.
compared to California, I don't know what we call it EDD here. I'm sure it's similar there, but he said that like he didn't get his for like 6 months or something, and then it was like a giant lump sum of checks.
I got a stack of checks and I fell on my knees and cried and I like called my mom like I just won the lottery. I mean, seriously though, it was it was insane. But luckily I got a gig doing branding and a website and like basically helping this woman open up her medical office. It's like an aesthetics medical office where they do like skincare and like facial treatments and stuff like that. And she's a nurse and they have a doctor on the team. So it was like, it was legit. And so I just worked with her like throughout the lockdown basically. And that was a total blessing. I did not get like much I made one painting that was commissioned of like a person's dog and I barely finished it, and it was like,
You're
I
like, fuck
was like,
this dog.
I know I love the dog, but I was like, get this painting out of my life. Like, I just could not be creative during that time. It was really intense. I was like, I mean, I feel lucky I got to be here during all the crazy stuff that, like it was a really intense time in Portland and around the world. And I'm just like, yeah, I wasn't focused on making art. I wish I could have been, but yeah, I get distracted. So
But
I
what's
had a lot
great
going
too
on in
is
my head.
we have phones, we have cell phones, so you can
Yeah.
like I'm a filmmaker too, and it got so frustrating for me because I had like at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, I had all this stuff lined up, and to
Yeah.
this day, it still didn't get like rescheduled or figured out because those like schedules and windows of
Totally.
opportunity and money and this and that is poof.
I know.
So like I had to do like a lot of stuff through Zoom, and that's kind of how this kind of came along. A friend of mine, she and I were like, we just gotta like do something.
Yeah, that's
And
so
then
awesome.
yeah, and then I got like a short film out of that. But like I even started using have you heard of Rumble?
Mm-mm.
Where it's like you can just make little videos and put them online, and
Really?
like it's like YouTube, but it's like really
Just
just
like an
for like
editing program?
no, it's just to film stuff and to
Oh,
post. But it's just for me, I was just almost doing like monologues. Like I would do like because I was so like going out of my mind and not being able to do anything with like
yeah, same.
video. I would just go to a park and like pretend I was like a reporter reporting on the
That's
park, and I'd have
awesome.
like to just film myself, and people would come
Yeah.
up and be like, "What are you doing?" And it was so like, you know what? It was goofy, it was stupid, it was just like, but you know what?
Whatever.
It was a release.
Yeah.
Like you just
Yeah,
gotta like
at
get
least
out and
you were
do
doing
something.
that. Like I really commend you for doing that. You know, like I went the opposite route and like I just had like a dark time and like my mental health wasn't doing so well and I was physically unhealthy. And but in a way it's like I look I look at that and it was almost like I had to go. My life is like sometimes it's been like a pendulum, you know, it's like um right now I'm in like you know, it's
Well, because stuff's open and like I mean,
yeah.
one thing I regret about this show that, you know, like my friend and I started is that we didn't do it like a year before. Because I think we were all just, we couldn't focus, we couldn't concentrate, and no one was working and no one could leave
You
their
didn't even
house.
know what the state of the world was. I'm like, are we
But
gonna be
like, how great is
next year?
this?
Like,
Like, I barely even know you, and I feel like we're hanging out at a bar having a drink, just
I
fucking around and
know,
talking,
how
right?
wonderful. Yeah. And thanks again for like asking me. I don't know. I was like, what? I'm being asked to be on a
Talk
podcast with
about
you.
your life and about your art.
Yeah, that's just random and awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it's just a minor regret, but it's like, man, I wish I would have been doing this a year ago because I think that people just needed to connect because
Oh,
like
yeah.
even like the Zooms people do for work, they're just like a human.
I know. I know. That is so important. The human connection. My God, we need it.
So so tell me like what is next for you? Like what I mean now it's 2022 the 2 years of sucking 2020 and 2021 are over. Fuck those
Yeah.
years. So this is going to be a really good year I think for everybody. Like bands are starting to tour again.
Yeah.
Movies are coming back. People can
God.
go to parks and the beaches. So
Yeah.
for you, is there stuff that like you couldn't do like a year or two ago that now you're just like, finally, I can just get out there
Um,
and do it?
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, especially because I couldn't do it because there wasn't shows, there weren't venues, and I wasn't even in a mental place where I could make I seriously couldn't even like make art. I couldn't be creative. Um, and now I just invested in a new computer and I'm like totally sober. I'm like healthy. I'm like changed my whole diet. Like I just changed my whole life around basically in last January. And it's been like the craziest year of my life, like in the best way. And so I see this next year. I've gotten all these really awesome opportunities. So like as my steady like main income, I got asked to work with this woman I know in Portland. She's like a promoter. She does like event productions basically. And she's genius and has an amazing reputation with awesome clients. And she asked me on to work with her to be her designer essentially. And so I'm doing that as like my main gig. And then I've just been like, people are asking me to do like awesome little like art projects, like drawings, paintings, album art, t-shirts, and like I'm collaborating with companies. I just did something for Polar, which is like a really big brand. They do camping gear and they're kind of like hipster indie camping gear in a way. But supposedly that's coming out winter 2022. And let's see, I'm doing, oh gosh, I just have a lot going on right now. And I'm really excited about that and lucky that like I have too much work, you know?
So go
So
ahead.
yeah, I'm just kind of like, I just want to keep going with that, you know? And I want to build it so like, I I don't know. I gotta get more specific as how I see this working out, but that is my I intended to do that yesterday was like write down everything specifically. It's like a manifest for 2022, but I started working on my website and I was up till like 4 a.m. So
I'm so glad that you used the word manifest instead of manifesting because I'm so tired of that word manifesting.
I mean, I know I've been using all this woo-woo stuff for especially the past year because I'm like, oh my God, I believe in it like so much now because I've been seeing it happen to me. But yeah, like serendipitous and like, manifest. I did anyways. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like for like about a year, people are like, and then I'm just like manifesting into the butterfly that I know I'm like, please,
Oh, I'm
please.
rising from the ashes. Yeah. I don't even know how else to describe it, but I totally feel like I did get the chance to like start over. Just crazy. It's like never too late. Never
Oh
too
yeah,
late
yeah. So I
to.
was gonna ask, like, do you see there being like a way to compile or collect your work to show? I don't know if you're gonna do like a
Well,
video or like a portfolio or something like that.
I mean, I just put as much as I could on my website yesterday, and it's live, but I'm not good at, I don't know. I need to put, I'm like, I'm driving myself crazy with the website stuff. It needs to look better. Like, it's really frustrating, but it's up there. You can see most of my work. I just kind of cherry pick like the best stuff. And also that was really frustrating because I'm like, oh my God, where is my work? Like I have all this cool stuff. I have all these like album covers and like t-shirts and posters and things that
It's in a
I,
garage somewhere. You're
dude,
like,
no, it's like all over the place, but I don't have it, you know? And like all my paintings, I've given them all away. And it was before I'm like, oh, you can, you know, I took like
take a
cell phone
picture of it
photos.
to
I
prove
took
it
like cell
exists
phone photos,
somewhere.
you know, I'm like, man, I have the lamest like representation of all this awesome stuff that I'm proud of. And so, you know, moving forward, I'm going to document and organize all of my work a lot better. That's another thing is like organization this year. I'm
But you
gonna,
know what you're doing right now is promoting your work. So
yeah, yeah.
one of the
Something
reasons
I'm
why
not
I wanted
comfortable
to
with
do this
doing.
for people is to kind of give people like a little platform to
Platform.
like talk about their stuff, to like,
Thank you.
yeah, and reel it in. So I wanted to kind of give you a couple minutes here, like to you can tell people like where they can find your stuff online. I know you
Okay.
have a site and I know you use social media. So do you
Mhm.
have stuff on YouTube also? I don't know.
I have a YouTube channel. It's I mainly just tribute videos. Made one for my mom, made one for my dad, made one for my ex-boyfriend's mom. And
I
they're
thought you were
really
gonna be
sad.
like, here's one where the cat was dressed like David Bowie from
Oh,
Ziggy
that would be cool. I
Stardust.
have a lot of crazy cat pictures where I like put a tiara on her head and like put a scarf and she's modeling.
The
But yeah,
cat's
they're all,
like, when will lockdown be over?
yeah, like my YouTube is all like really like sappy, dramatic tribute videos to like Van Morrison songs, and they just make you cry. But I have a website. It's lindsayshutt.com, and mostly like I'm really active on Instagram. It's and my Instagram handle is cherry shampoo. And yeah, so I update that like, you know, constantly. Anytime I create anything, even if it's like a doodle, I pretty much put it up there. Um, yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. So do you want to eventually get into working in different media and in terms of like film or TV
Oh
or
my God,
books
yeah.
or
I would love to work in film. I got some opportunities, I don't know, over the past year or two. I just did a bunch of like hypothetical flyers for 1980, I think it was like 1985 punk scene in Ann Arbor, Michigan. My friend, she like tapped me about it. She's like, you're the first person that came to mind. I'm like, fuck yeah. So I just kind of researched that time and the venues and the bands and put together, it was like dream job. This is like
oh
what I
yeah.
wish I could just do this every day, but put together like hypothetical shows and made like, you know, punk flyers for this movie. And it's forget the director's name, but he did the remake of Suspiria and like Chloe Sevigny
Oh yeah, yeah. I loved
in the movie.
Tom York's soundtrack for that.
Yeah. Oh my God. I liked it. Yeah. I
Nice.
liked the movie. Love the original though, obviously. So I got to do that, and I got to do some other random things like for Strangers too. Remember that horror like home invasion movie, which I can't even watch. Like I don't like those home invasion movies at all, or torture film, you know, like Saw, that's not my deal. But I got to have like my flyer art in like a bedroom scene or something, you know, things like that. And then so a friend of mine was like, we're working on getting funding for this movie and we're going to film it in Portland. And if we do, you're going to be the design director, basically, which I'm like, oh my God, I would love to go in that direction. Like, I just love that world, you know, as
Well,
much
film
as,
is so great on so many levels because
yeah,
I write and do other things too, but it encompasses all the arts.
Totally.
So you're
Yeah.
operating like on full steam on every level with like writing, acting, directing, like
Yeah.
photography,
Totally.
costume design, like
The
painting.
costume design. Oh my God.
And for me, like I am the shittiest like set builder person. Like I fucked up in like college trying to like make a set panel for like stage, and I was like, yeah, and then they're like, what is it, Eric? I'm like, orange. We
Is
can see
it?
this orange, but like,
I
what is
love
it
that.
supposed to be? I'm like, it's orange,
It's a feeling,
and I
okay?
don't appreciate you depreciating my work. And they're
Yeah.
like, fine, you get
It's
a C.
abstract.
Fuck off.
It's abstract. Yeah. Wait, what was the question again? Like what avenues I'd like to explore? And then also, I don't know. Yeah, film. Um, I don't know. I want to start playing music again, but
Oh,
that's
you play an instrument?
I used to kind of just dabble in everything.
Okay.
And I was just sub mediocre, but it was fun.
But
And
you
I
know
really
what? I mean, to me, like if I'm by myself, it's like I'm a single dad, so sometimes my daughter's with me,
Aw.
sometimes not. But like if I've had like a really shitty day, like I used to have an electric guitar, but I'm like, you can't play
Fun.
anywhere without an amp. So
You put
I
your
have an
headphones.
acoustic, and it's just nice to come home and just strum some chords.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. It's so therapeutic. When I lived in Memphis, my ex Jay, like he recorded all of his albums, he recorded other bands in our house. So our house was like this big recording studio. And then there was like my room, my office. It was so fun. It was so creative. So every day I'd come home from my crappy job and there's just this beautiful drum kit right in the living room. And I would just play the drums every single day after work, you know? And then I got into a band there. And it was just fun, you know, like I don't ever want to play live. I'm terrified of that, but like I just like to
I mean, come
play.
on, you can do the Meg White, right? And just play the 4/4.
Yeah, I could do that, but the thought of playing in front of people is like I've had like reoccurring like nightmares about that, like where I'm on stage and I don't know what the songs are, and there's like a huge swarm of people, and I'm just there, and I don't know any of the stuff. I know none of the material, and it's really
Again, you can
scary.
just do the Meg White, and every
I know.
song and the White Stripes is just 4/4,
Yeah,
and Jack White's like, and
yeah.
I'm
Jack
gonna
White
just
would
play
carry it.
everything around you, and you just play
Seriously.
4/4, and
Yeah, if you're with a talented person, they can pretty much
yeah,
carry your
and that
weight.
was their shtick. She was just meat and potatoes every single
Right.
song. But
It's inspiring. Yeah. I'm like, I like when I see people like that. I'm like, oh, okay, I can do that. Like Mo Tucker from Velvet Underground. Like I could do that. And I could sing like her too. But
I like
yeah.
how every interview I've ever seen with Lou Reed, and he talks about the Velvet Underground. Like it's that cult of personality, that cool detachment where he was like, I was writing
Yes.
this song and I was like, whatever. And people
I
were like,
know.
oh.
I know.
I'm
That is,
like,
he's so aloof. It's like he's like a
I wrote the song and it's like, and then I was thinking about whatever.
yeah. And then just like totally
And
like
then I had a
the
sandwich. Like,
interviewer.
oh, cool story, man.
Yeah. But somehow it is really cool. Yeah. I've been listening to a lot of Lou Reed lately.
Nice.
He was like always my favorite. And then I kind of took a break for like,
Well, there's so many good bands that are out of Portland too, like the Shins.
oh yeah. Yeah. I went to some like I got to meet what's his name? Mercer? Something Mercer, Andrew Mercer.
Something like that.
I got to go to this like holiday party at Isaac from Modest Mouse House. Modest Mouse House. He had a really- he
If
had
they
a really
haven't called one of their albums that, they
Mouse
have
House,
to.
the Modest Mouse House. But he had a really cute holiday party at his house, and like I got to meet like the Shins and like some other.
Isaac Brock, right?
Yeah, he's really a nice guy. Yeah.
Well, he got to work with Johnny Marr from the Smiths.
Yeah.
What the hell is
Yeah.
that about?
I know. How cool is that?
He's just like, I was in the Smiths and I can record anything and play on any soundtrack, but I'm gonna just reach down to this like not obscure, but like
Yeah.
indie band from Portland.
That's so cool. And that's been happening a lot in the like past, I don't know, 10 or 15 years where these big artists will like do a crossover and like come and like pluck these like rad little indie bands that are totally like worthy. Like that's when I was with Jay, like Beck kind of like cherry picked him and brought him to, what was it, the Staples Center or something, and had him open up for him. And I think they each covered one of each other's songs.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and then I remember like Beck sent us a letter to our house, and I'm like photographing Jay like opening up the letter, and we're like, Beck sent us a letter, you know. But it's cool, like that's like something that's been happening a lot, and I love that. I'm sure that I'm trying to think of other instances.
My Beck story is really short, which was back in the day. When I lived in Santa Monica, I worked for Magnolia Audio Video, the TV place or whatever. And we went to Beck's house and installed a TV, but like his wife didn't know where we were supposed to put the stuff, and he was like asleep because he's like recording an album in their basement. I just imagine him like hours. Dude, I walked into a room and the entire fucking room was nothing but basses. And anyway, she had to like wake him up, and
wow.
Like,
I love this
and then he like comes out and he's like putting a sweater on or whatever, and he's just
wiping the sleepy dust from
he's like, Melissa, you gotta let me sleep, babe. I gotta record tonight. And I was like, hey man, just big fan, but you know where we putting this stuff? And he's like, over in the corner. And the other guy that I was with like he was not a rock fan at all. The guy I was with, he's like, oh yeah, man, you're cool. Yeah, keep it real, Bach. And he goes, Beck. And he goes, whatever. And I'm like, oh, I'm so fucking embarrassed.
Oh, you're so embarrassing.
Like, you get in the fucking truck. We're out of here.
Yeah, that's a good story. I love that you got to go into his house. That's probably like, I imagine there'd be like the best energy in there, and it probably smelled really good.
Well, they just moved in, and like she just had, I mean, this was years ago, but she just had like a baby, and then he was like trying to sequester himself so he could sleep because he knew there were people going to come over at night to record in the basement.
Yeah.
And she was trying to like keep the baby away from him just so like, because the baby was going to wake up and cry. Yeah. And he was like, these are my vampire work hours for when I'm making an album. And I felt so bad. I'm like, she can't sign for you, dude. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
And we had to wake him up, but whatever. And it took the guy, like, he had like a Michael Cera moment where he was like trying to put his sweater on, and it was just like an animal. Like, he was so fucking tired. He was just like,
I get like cotton sweater.
But he's back. So
yes.
But so I guess we'll wrap it up here and just say, you know, is there anything you would like any advice you want to give to like kids who are kind of getting into like a similar field? Just like maybe a couple of minutes, just kind of like tell them, you know, what you've gone through and like the pitfalls and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really give advice. I don't like giving advice, but I can only speak to my experience, and that's kind of like, you know, you're not gonna immediately start to get these like, well, maybe you will. These really rad.
Time now, kids.
These really rad creative jobs, you know, and they'll come to you like. Basically what I had to do was like work like these crummy jobs that I didn't really like that much during the day. And then like, it's just about like using your time. Like time is so valuable. And especially while you're younger and you have a lot of energy. Just like when you get off work, that's when the real work starts. You know, that's when your brain's got to get going. And like, then you turn on and then it's about you. And like, use that time to make like your art happen. And just go really hard for a while, you know? And, yeah, I guess that's kind of it. Like, I don't want to get too cheesy. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Awesome. Okay. Well, that is awesome. And thank you so much for being on the show. I feel like I know you so much better now.
Yeah, likewise.
This is so great, and I hope that you get like a lot of fresh eyeballs like on your work and just, like directed towards you and future projects and stuff. So yeah,
this was a great experience. Thank you so much for asking me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and I'll just say have a great rest of your week.
Have a great life. No, I'm just kidding. I want to start saying that. Have a good life.
All right. Well, take it easy.
Stay in touch. I feel like we'll stay in touch, you know?
I hope so. Yeah,
and also, really quick before we go, thank you for another reason I'm grateful you asked me to do this was you really like lit a fire for me to get my website up.
Oh,
I was like, I cannot go
Listen,
into
gotta
this
have
interview.
something if people look at my shit. Where do
Seriously,
they
I'm
go?
like, how lame. I cannot go into this interview without a website. So at least there's something up there. It's not perfect, but I had to just get over that. And there's something
And
up.
that's LindsaysShutt.com, right? Two T's,
LindsaysShutt.com.
folks, 2 T's.
I bought the domain for Electric Lindsay Land, and I'm a little too afraid to use that because that's one of my favorite Jimi Hendrix album, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll just buy this to see if this domain is in use.
And you're
And
like,
it wasn't, and I bought it, and now I'm still too afraid to use it. It's a little audacious. It's a little bold.
but you know what? I mean, give it a little time, and then that could just be like a moniker you go by.
I think I'm gonna, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna ease into that domain name.
Ease into it.
Yeah, because yesterday I was terrified. I was so terrified and stressed out putting this website together, just imagining people seeing it and me,
They're
announcing
like,
it there.
she thinks all this, and we don't even know
Exactly.
shit.
Like she's a designer and it looks like this, so I don't know.
Looks like she just types with her elbows. Like, what?
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Keep in touch. And I'm so stoked that you're doing this. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate people just, making things happen.
Got to. We got to, because out of all the crap that's happened in the last 2 years, something good and positive.
Gotta stay sane. Yeah, we gotta stay on the bright side. Follow that light. Yeah, look at follow
like
the light.
Firefly flying into the light.
And we're from the Midwest, so we know fireflies.
We do.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, tell all your friends to subscribe. So
I will.
Going. That's awesome.
Yeah, let me know when this is live. I don't even know how it works. So.
Oh, it'll go up tomorrow morning.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thank you so much. Okay. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye.